think we're recording. Hi, everybody, and welcome to an interview we're going to have with Shaista from the Three Hijabis, who you may have been learning about or about to learn about in your lessons. A fantastic example of how religious education can help us think about being anti-racist. And I was really inspired, and so were the students who looked at your story of what the Three Hijabis have done and the movement you've sort of helped to generate, really. So I'd like to ask you a few questions about it, if that's okay. So first of all, what is the Three Hijabis and like what's happened?
Hi everyone, and Assalamu alaikum, and it's lovely to be in this space, even though I won't be able to be in the classroom with you. So my name is Shaista Aziz. I'm one of the co-founders of the Three Hijabis. The other two sisters are Amna Abdul Latif and Huda Jawad. We are three British Muslim women. We wear the hijab, the headscarf. We decided to call ourselves the Three Hijabis because we are visible Muslim women. And for those of you who follow the England football team and like football, you know that the England football team are known as the Three Lions. So we decided to use that and play with the words a little bit and call ourselves the Three Hijabis. So Ruth, you asked what we are. So basically we are three everyday women who love football. We came together after the men's England Euro final in 2021 at Wembley Stadium. I'm sure many of you remember, the England team were playing Italy. We lost to penalties. It was the first time we got to a final in a very, 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 very long time, and we were very excited. Sadly, we lost the game. However, what was more sad was that the three young Black England players who missed penalties were subjected to lots of racist abuse, horrifying racist abuse. We were watching this match together at Huda's flat, which is not very far from Wembley Stadium, with her lovely two boys, her sons, both of whom play basketball in Raheem Sterling's former school in Brent. And so we felt really devastated. We were sad we lost, but we were much more devastated by the disgusting racism thrown at three young Black England players. So what we decided to do was the following morning, we put together a petition. We knew that thousands and thousands of people would be feeling just like us, really crushed by what was going on. So we wanted to turn it into something positive and powerful, and we wanted to push back against racists. So we created a petition. We called on the Football Association, the FA. They are the people who are in charge of the England football team, the government, and tech companies like Twitter and Facebook and other platforms where lots of racist trolling was taking place of our England team. We decided to form a petition calling on all these three organisations to come together and to ban racists from football for life. Now, the petition was launched around about 9 a.m. the following morning after the final, and less than 48 hours later, we got more than 1 million signatures.
Wow.
Yes. And we feel very, very grateful and thankful to everyone who signed the petition.
Yeah.
Basically, what we did is we created a spontaneous anti-racism movement on the back of something really horrible and disgusting, racism. And we wanted to show solidarity with the England team because over the summer, the England team had been taking the knee. They were doing that to support anti-racism. They're very loud and very proud about their support of anti-racism and also of LGBTQI plus rights. And this is also an England team that's full of lots of people from different backgrounds. You know, some have been raised by single mums, very proudly so. Some have been raised by parents who came here as immigrants. Many have been raised in very working class backgrounds. You know, their mums held down 3 jobs to get them to, you know, training and to support them. So this for us means so much because we see them, we see us in them, and we feel that they tell our stories. So it was really powerful. So we were really proud of what we did. And we ended up all over the news. We were in the newspapers in America. We were on TV in Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
Everywhere. It just went viral. And one of the reasons why we believe this went viral is because we brought hope. We brought kindness, compassion, hope, and a vision of something. We brought a vision of bringing people together to say, no, enough is enough. And because we are 3 visible Muslim women who wear hijab, people aren't used to seeing Muslim women and girls who look like us talking about football. So there's lots of things going on. And we also felt that it was really important for us to stand up for three young black men because we don't live each other's lives. We may not know what it's like to be gay or have a disability or to, be Jewish or to be different, to be Sikh or, Hindu or to be different. But we know that we have to stand together against all hatred because hatred targeting one person is hatred against all of us.
Wow, that's amazing. And, the fact that we've found you and we've been studying as well, and the story can just keep going. And it really resonates with the students I've talked about it as well. I'm kind of really fascinated in this movement. Like you say, you felt that other people would feel like this and you thought, okay, let's do something. And I'm really interested in, like, would you say that your faith fed into you wanting to do that? Is there something about teachings or an idea of the way you see your faith that made you think, yeah, we're going to take a stand?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm really proud of my faith.
Yeah.
As a Muslim, Islam has shaped my life.
Yeah.
At its core, Islam is about justice and social justice. It's about standing up for people regardless of who they are. It's about standing up for the truth and demanding the truth. So for us, our faith is definitely at the heart, the center of what we do. And sometimes it's really hard in this country to talk about faith. There's a lot of negative stereotypes about people of faith. Very horrifyingly, there's a lot of stereotypes about Muslims in particular, lots of really dangerous stereotypes, actually. And women and girls from Muslim backgrounds, we're not very seen, we're not heard. There's this perception that we're all oppressed and we don't have a voice, which, as anybody knows who knows any Muslim women and girls, nonsense. So I think this is part of the story as well.
Yeah.
So at the heart of the story really is our identities as well. So Amna is mixed race. She's half Libyan and half English. Her mum is English, her dad's Libyan. She came to the country at a young age. Huda came to the UK as a refugee from Iraq. I'm working class British and Pakistani. We're all working class women, and we've been raised with a love of football, even though we haven't always felt that football is for us, because sadly, hooliganism, aggression, racism is also sadly part and parcel of football story, which I do think is starting to change, but it's there, and it's wrong for us to deny the fact that it's there.
And what was it that sparked, even before the petition? I think you had already sort of started to talk about how this team was different and why it was like telling your stories in a way. And what was that moment that kind of first got you there?
So the three Hijabis roared to life after England played Ukraine. This is before the war in Ukraine. Many people didn't even know where Ukraine was, and now look how the world's changed, right? Yeah. So we being England, I'm going to say, when I say we, I'm talking about England, okay? So England were playing Ukraine, and Amna, Huda and I had a chat. At the time, the country was in lockdown, but the lockdown was being lifted. Were being lifted, and we hadn't seen each other because Amna lives in Manchester, Huda lives in London, Wembley, and I live in Oxford. Okay, so we hadn't seen each other for so long, so we thought, well, let's meet up, let's get together, and the England game's on, let's watch it together. So as usual, we left everything lastminute.com. So we hadn't planned anything because we hadn't been used to planning things because everyone had been locked down for so long. So Amna was coming up to London with her two lovely daughters. So Huda and I decided to meet her in the hotel with a bar.
Okay.
And it was the only place we could go and really watch football. We didn't really want to go into a pub, we'll be honest with you. We didn't feel nervous or scared about going into a pub, but at the same time, it's not really a place where we hang out. So we went to the hotel and the bar was there. So we went to the bar because obviously that's where people are going to watch football. So we managed a table, which was very nice. So we had some food, and we got ready to cheer on the Three Lions. And anyway, so we thrashed Ukraine. Okay, I think we scored 7 goals, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and so basically, I took a photo of us watching the game. And the next morning, I obviously asked permission from my lovely friends and said, are you okay for me to tweet this photograph? They said, go for it. So I really remember doing this, right? So I woke up in the following morning, I did some yoga,
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, I'm going to put my tweet out. So I put a
Mm.
photo of us out, and I said, the three hijabis walk into a bar to cheer on the three lions.
Yeah.
Now, often I do stand-up comedy as well. Okay, I don't do
Okay.
it so much now, but I did it. I did it for a number of years.
Okay.
So, what I was thinking about as a storyteller as well is, okay, so let's play on the three lions. Let's play on
Mm.
those words, the three lions. And I thought, well, we're the three hijabis. So I introduced the tweet in that way. And then I talked about football, love of football. I talked about identity and belonging, and how it's very hard sometimes for those people who are minorities
Mm.
to feel like we belong, because sadly there's a lot of toxic politics, there's a lot of noise, and a lot of not particularly pleasant things that have been going on for a number of years that challenge us and make us wonder, well, do I belong? Do I belong?
Mm.
And the answer for me is, of course, we belong everywhere.
Yeah.
So this tweet um, told the story about how we got together, after lockdown. We hadn't seen each other for so long. I talked a bit about the history of, my friends' backgrounds and my own. And we talked about the England team being proudly, loudly unapologetic with its anti-racism. We
Yeah.
talked about the kind of nonsense they had to put up with from politicians and others attacking them for taking the knee. So
Mm.
I put all of this in together. I tweeted it out, and then what happened was this tweet went viral. I had so many people responding, oh, I feel so uplifted by this tweet, and
Oh,
I'm crying, I'm reading this and I'm crying, I feel the same way. So it just went on and on and on. And then I got a contact from the Guardian newspaper contacted me. So I write for them anyway, but they
okay.
contacted me saying, oh, hi, please can you write a piece for us? So I wrote a piece that went viral. And then when we got to the semi-finals, we ended up doing loads of media interviews.
Wow.
People from everywhere were contacting us going, this is a really interesting tweet, and we really like the way you told this story, and tell us more. So one of the things I'd say to you is, never be scared of who you are, unless you're a complete idiot, in which case don't be one. But be proud of who you are. Sometimes we get messages telling us, oh, if you wear a hijab, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes those messages will come from our own so-called communities.
Yeah.
They will come from outside. But I think it's really important for us to be proud of who we are
Mm.
and to know who we are as well. Because when we know who we are, then we can be more comfortable with ourselves. And when we're
Yeah.
more comfortable with ourselves, we're more open to being comfortable with everything else and everyone
Yeah.
else. So really, the tweets and the article I wrote was about the joy of being a football fan, what football brings to us.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't shy away from talking about the ugly side of football. So, football is known as a beautiful game. So, we focused on the beauty of football, bringing
Mm.
people together, the transformative power of football. But we also talked about the ugliness, the racism, the hooliganism, the sexism, the misogyny. And it really resonated with people. And in there, I also talked about when I went to Italy I took my mum to Italy a couple of years ago on the train. We had a great time.
Yeah.
And we ended up at AC Milan in
Okay.
the mighty San Siro Stadium in
Okay.
Milan. And we had a great time. We saw Maradona's boot. We went to the museum. We saw all amazing things in there. So on the way out, a man was revving his engine at the zebra crossing and made me feel like he wanted to run me over because I wear a hijab. And he did a Nazi salute. And sadly, Italy has become more and more right wing, and there are organized fascist groups involved in the government and the
Yeah.
politics of Italy. So I brought that into the piece as well. And I said,
Mm.
often we minorities are not very far away from the ugly side of things.
Yes.
But I was there to enjoy the football. But this was a moment that jolted me back into the reality of where I was, and
Yeah.
that I had to be more alert and more aware of
Yeah.
where I was. So this is what the article was about. So that's how the three hijabis started, and then we got to the final,
Yep.
semi-final, and the final. And
Yeah.
on the way to the journey to the final, we just had more and more people contacting us saying, tell us more about your love of football. So it was a really incredible time. And by the way, we've been around for 2 years, and we're really proud of this because in that time we've done a lot.
Yes. Yeah, and to have that signature of a million, the million signatures on the petition, and I think it's really tapped into, yeah, that people people don't want to shy away and ignore and just gloss over the problems, but they want to look at them, tackle them, and like there's hope that we can change it and it
Yeah,
can be better. You know, it's not, it's this, yeah,
and
people have this hope, and I think that's what you've given us, which is fantastic. And
yeah.
my students were also wondering, well, what's next for the three hijabis then?
Well, what's next for us is we are in contact with the Premier League and also with the Football Association, the FA.
Okay.
Last year, we worked with two other groups, Level Up and End Violence Against Women and Girls Coalition.
Mhm.
And basically, we worked to campaign for the Premier League to introduce consent training across all its clubs, which it's agreed to do.
Brilliant.
So, we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
So, the message here is if you have an idea, if you see injustice and you have an idea, don't be quiet, be loud, be proud about it, and work with others. Work with as many different people as you can, bring them together and work out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And if you have a strategy and you plan properly, because that's what football's about. Football's also about strategy. You've got to be
Yeah.
strategic in how you play the game. And we've got to be strategic in how we campaign to create a better country, a better society, and a better world. So that's what
Mm.
we're doing.
Yeah.
We've also been involved in working on cricket because recently there was a report that came out into really horrible levels of racism and
Yeah.
classism and
Yeah.
sexism in cricket. So we've been working on that, and we're doing lots of training. We're organising training, particularly around Islamophobia. So the UK is one of the first countries in the world who's about the issue of Islamophobia
Okay.
and trying to get a definition
Okay.
put into law.
Mm.
And Islamophobia is definitely part of racism, but it's not often seen as such. And one of
Mm.
the reasons for that is because people say, oh, Muslims are not a race. Well,
Mm.
no, we're not a race, but we are racialized as a
Mm.
group. So we're doing a lot of training around Islamophobia and we're having fun as well. I think it's really important for us to remember that life is difficult. There's a lot of challenges out there, but we have to have fun. We have to have joy in our lives, and we've got to be able to make fun of ourselves as well, take the mickey out of ourselves. So
Definitely.
we're going to go and watch the play Dear England.
Okay. I don't know
From
it.
at the National Theatre. It's
Okay.
a play that is focusing on Gareth Southgate. He wrote a letter during the
Yes.
Euros in 2021, the men's Euros. He wrote a letter, Dear England. It was a beautiful letter. I urge
Yeah.
you to go and Google it. Beautiful letter about the stunning levels of diversity in our country
Yeah.
makes England such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Why it's a powerful thing, diversity,
Yeah.
why we should celebrate it.
Yeah.
He was talking about being proud of England, but not proud in a way that's ugly. Be
Mhm.
proud in a way that brings people together, that is not about division, but it's about uniting people.
Yeah.
So there's a play now in the National Theatre in
Oh,
London.
amazing. I remember that
Yeah,
letter. I'll put the link to it
yeah, great
in the
letter.
bio for the video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those are the kinds of things we're working on. If anybody here is interested in sharing some ideas with us via you, Ruth, we're
Yeah.
really happy to listen to you.
Yeah.
So that's basically our work. We're doing training around Islamophobia. We are doing more advocacy work, more campaign work around these issues.
Yeah.
And also, I'm very excited to tell you that I have been awarded a Winston Churchill Fellowship. So, as you all know, Winston Churchill is one of our famous prime ministers.
Yeah.
The Winston Churchill Foundation is run by his family, and every year they give some resource, some funding
Mm.
to about 141 individuals who
Okay.
are looking to research something that is of interest to them. So there were 1,000 applicants. So I managed to get through. I'm one of the
Brilliant.
141s, very excited.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at is how to make football more equitable
Yeah.
for Muslim women and girls. So basically, how do we make football fairer for Muslim
Yeah.
women and girls? The countries I'm looking at are the UK, which obviously is very big,
Yeah.
France,
Yeah.
because sadly in France, women who wear hijab, wear the headscarf,
Yeah.
are being banned from playing football. It's awful. And
Yeah.
Pakistan. So people are quite
Mm.
shocked when they hear this. Pakistan is a country that has one of the highest rates of violence against women and girls, sadly. It's the
Mm.
country where my family are from, where my mum was born and raised, a country that's part of my DNA that I love. And Pakistan has a thriving women and girls football scene.
Oh,
Uh,
brilliant.
yeah, so where women and girls who look like me,
Yeah.
who aren't born and raised in Pakistan, are flying in from Canada and other parts of the world to go and play football there. So I'm
Wow. So
interested
what are
in
they
knowing,
doing? Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant.
I'm interested in finding out what is it that's going on that we in England can learn from? And I think this is really important because often if we're looking at anti-racism, we need to take the blinkers off. We need to look at the
Mm.
world in a different way. And often in the Western world, and I'm part of the Western world, I'm proud of that, there has been a tendency to lecture other parts of the world, but actually we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I want to learn about what's happening in France, which I find horrifying, but
Mm.
equally what's happening in Pakistan is horrifying, and the rates of violence against women and girls. Yet football is doing something transformative there. So yeah, so for the next year, I'm going to be investigating that for the three hijabis. So I'm
Oh,
excited about that.
amazing. That's just, yeah. I think, yeah, you've got a lot to get into there, but it's just, I love what you said about having a strategy. And also, like, if you feel that something is wrong, then you can do something about it. And I think you've given us hope that, you can wake up one morning and think, that's just not right. I'm going to do something. I'm sure other people agree with me. And I think that I'm really taking that away from our conversation. Do you mind if I ask you one question about, because you said to me earlier that you lived in Tower Hamlets for a while. And I know some of the students watching this are going to be in Tower Hamlets. I wondered if you could tell us what was your favourite thing about living or working in Tower Hamlets when you were there?
So I lived in Stepney Green and then I lived in Bethnal Green for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And my first job in journalism was with the Eastern Eye newspaper.
Oh,
I'm sure
wow.
some of you are familiar with it. It was on Bethnal Green Road. So what do I love about Tower Hamlets? Well, obviously the food. Amazing food, guys. You don't even need to try and find good food, it's everywhere. Um, so love the food, loved East London Mosque, love the fact that you don't you there's a big beautiful mosque there that's very inclusive and open, particularly for women and girls as well. Liked Brick Lane a lot. A bit too gentrified for my liking, sadly.
Okay.
But do really like Brick Lane, and just everything is not very far away.
Yeah.
Victoria Park, all
Mm.
those lovely places you can go and walk, and you just feel like you're in the middle of everywhere. And I remember at
Yeah.
the time, the hospital, sometimes the air helicopter, the ambulance would land,
Mhm.
and there'd be a market on the ground
Yeah.
in Whitechapel, and
Yeah.
everything would be flapping around. So I remember that very vividly, and also I remember looking at the gherkin.
Yeah.
So it's like all the different worlds are
Yes.
colliding in this
Yeah.
very small bit of London.
Yeah.
And it's all there, all the
Yeah.
multiculturalism, all the food, the
Mm.
languages, the
Yeah.
history, and also the history of colonialism,
Yeah.
the history of this country's history is all there, all blended together, all mishmashed together. So I used to really love that. And
Yeah.
I used to walk to Hoxton, where I worked at the time, and I remember one day seeing a man on a penny farthing.
So
The
those bikes with the little wheel and the big wheel.
yeah, from Victorian times, and I was
Mm.
like, wow. And I also remember seeing a woman in a ball gown at 8 a.m. Walking to work. So you see everything there. So
Yeah.
I really love that. My senses would be very satisfied and overloaded in the morning. Just the sounds and the
Yeah.
smells and the vision of everything. Yeah.
I love that idea of the helicopter and then the markets flapping, and it just to me that's like Tower Hamlets. Everything's just
Yeah.
going on around you. You're
Everything's
never
going
bored,
on,
are
isn't
you?
it?
Well,
Yeah.
I'd just like to take another opportunity to thank you for just everything you've done and then your time with us today. And I'm sure if students have more questions, they can pass them to me and I'll pass them on to you. But we'll just keep watching this space and seeing
Yeah.
what else comes next for you.
Yeah, and also I just want to thank you all because basically we're three women who started the campaign and the movement, but we're very clear this movement doesn't belong to us; it belongs to everyone, because really we are the change makers collectively.
Mm.
So I don't know, some of you may have signed our petition, or you may know people who did. So just thank you, and thank you for being curious and wanting to learn more. And the final thing I'll say is, if we don't restrict ourselves, okay, if we don't put our brains and ourselves into a box, often society wants to put us into a box. I'm Muslim, therefore I can't do this and this, or I can do this and this. We can do anything together. Really, we can make a lot of change, and we can't do it by ourselves. Okay, we have to be together. So this is one of the reasons why there were three of us. I could have done this by myself. Amna and Huda could have done this by ourselves, but we believe in sisterhood, and we know that we're stronger together. So if you're facing anything in your life that's challenging, please know there's people out there who will stand up for you. You don't have to do it by yourself. Just remember that, if that's possible.
Oh, thank you so much. What a lovely message to finish for us. Thank you. Thanks again, Shaista.
Thank you.
I'm
Take
just
care.
going to